friends, to this short video on transitions. In this episode, we are going to look at how we can use the 4 most frequently used transitions, 2 that we are not allowed to use, and play around with some other ones. With that, let's get started.
So let's look at a few common transitions. The first looks like this.
This is Mr.
All right, that's a transition going from me
This is Mr. Yo.
to Mr. Yost. It's a straight cut. Cut from one to the next. That's a straight cut. It's used 90% of the time. Right? A lot of time people are just going to use straight cuts going from one scene to the next. If we want to add a couple of other transitions to the mix, another really popular one is called the cross dissolve. So you're going to come up here to your effects panel. So your effects panel might not be active. Let's say that I had accidentally closed that down. I'm over here and there's no effects. What do? Well, remember, you come up to Window, hit Effects, and it comes up right there. Perfect. So we're going to come to Effects, and transitions are, video transitions. Twirl that down. We have all of these to choose from. There are an absolute ton of them. The most common one that we're going to look at is cross dissolve. So I'm going to add that to my clip by left click on my mouse and drag it down, and I'm going to drop it right there. I'm going to zoom in. Do you remember the shortcut for zooming in? Of course you do. It's plus, plus, plus. So you can see that it says cross dissolve. Let's have a little look.
Of course, filmmaking. This is Mr.
Okay, so it kind of dissolves from one into the next. Smooth transition.
Filmmaking. This is Mr. Yo.
Between the two actors. To change the duration of your dissolve, you can kind of hover over. I'm not clicking anything. I'm just hovering my mouse over the ends, and I get this little red slider, and I can shorten it up to make it a quicker transition.
This is Mr.
Or I can hover and drag it out to make it a really long transition. It's going to be very Scooby-Doo-like.
Of our STEAM course, filmmaking. This is Mr. Yost.
Like, I would never do that. Maybe if you wanted to give the impression of time passing, you could do something like this.
This is Mr. Yost.
Which gives the impression of time passing. But I'm going to twirl that down and cross this off.
This is Mr.
You'll notice when I grab this, I have the option. I can put it right in the middle, which is where normally I'm going to put it, but I can put it on one end or the other. And what this is telling Premiere Pro to do is to dissolve the first clip, but leave the second one up the whole time. All right, or move it over here, and I'm leaving the first clip up and dissolving the second one over time. So it's a matter of what you want to use it for. So that's cross dissolve. The next transition that I'd like to show you is called dip to black. So it's right below cross dissolve. I'm going to grab, click, drag it down, and drop it in between. And let's have a look at what that does.
I spent a lot of time.
You can see that it literally takes it, goes to a black screen and back out again. As always, I can change the duration of my dip.
I spent a lot of time
for an effect. Another one that we often use are dip to white. Drop that in there. Now, sometimes this comes up, and what it says is there's not enough room on the end of the clip to make the transition last the entire duration. So it says that Premiere Pro is going to try its best. Click OK. It usually works out just fine. It's going to fake it, and it's going to repeat a couple of frames. Let's see what it looks like.
As well.
Yeah, it looks fine. And again, I can change the duration of my dip.
As well. In addition to...
Too long. Right? But now you see what they look like. So those are the 4 transitions that you're going to use quite a bit. The straight cut, cross dissolve, dip to black, dip to white. You can play around. You can open these up and look and see what they do. Most of them, if you're not using one of those 4 that I just talked about, you're going to have to be able to justify to me why you chose to use it. There's really only 2 wrong ones, barn doors and page peel. You are not allowed to use that. So we go page peel here. Now, I'm not even going to, you're probably like, oh, I'm going to play around with it and drop it on there and see what it does. It looks terrible. And then the other one is barn doors. You are not allowed to use barn doors. And here's a little trick. I don't remember where it is because I never use it, but I can click up here and type in barn. Hey, look at that. It's in white. Barn doors. You're not allowed to use those. The page peel and the barn doors are off limits. The other ones you can play around with and look and see if you like them, but you're going to have to be able to talk to Mr. Yost and myself and justify why you are using them, because some of them are quite obnoxious and actually detract from the story that you're trying to tell.
So there you have it. We saw we can use the straight cut, which is the most common cut in all of movie editing. We can use cross dissolve, dip to black, dip to white. You will never use page peeler barn doors for me. Any of the other ones, play around with. See if they catch your interest. Just be sure you can justify to me why you are using it to help visually enhance your story. That's all for this episode. We'll see you in the next one.